My title is We Start From Where We Are. And I want to start from right now, where I am. My thinking is, what am I doing up here? What have I got to say? What's my intention behind being here? What do I think I have to offer? What brings me here? And that question I see as a shared question, because I'm also curious about what brings you here and why you've come and what your intention behind this is and what you're bringing to our time together. So I see this as very much the beginning of the dialogue that we hope to share. And I'm conscious of the norms that might happen by me being up here and talking and you being down there and listening. And it can seem a bit academic and it's a conference and I'm just wanting to be mindful of the kind of dualisms that we can slip into, which are, I'm the expert and you're the learner. And I'm the active one here and you're quite passive. And I am the jug and you are the mug. I was thinking that one, thinking, oh no. But that's not what we're about trying to be here. We're trying to kind of keep these dualisms in mind and not allow them to sneak in and be why we're here. But I'll start with the familiar bit, how I understand the person-centered approach in therapy. What does it mean to me? I think it's absolutely fundamental to me that I trust the actualizing tendency. It underpins my relationships. What I bring is my attention to whatever is trying to happen in you, in me, and between us. The core conditions speak of this attention in terms of empathy, congruence, and unconditional positive regard, an acceptance of whatever is unfolding here and now. It's an open attention, wider than words, alert to small movements, unexpected happenings. It's tolerant of uncertainty, and it's prepared to risk contact. In the light of such attention, whatever exists can relax and flow and become what it's meant to be. Experience may be allowed into awareness, defenses loosened, and life can regain its movement. This is the nub of person-centered therapy. The foundations of this way of being feel meaningful to me. They resonate with my core values. But I would contend it's easier to live these values in the boundaried space of the therapy relationship than in everyday life. In my experience, this theme often crops up in supervision work, where therapists find it harder to maintain quality relationships with the people in the organizations in which they work than with the clients that they see through these organizations. So without the therapeutic frame, how do we live these core values? I think that question is at the heart of our theme going global. There was a dimension of the education at Bishara which used a language which was slightly newer to me, and it was one of surrender, service, letting go, trusting, and being carried. And I very much remember having quite a strong resistance to this idea early on because my feminism was going, no, I'm not going to clear the table and do the dishes. Like service. It was very domestic in many ways at the school. And it pushed a few of my buttons. But it means something way beyond that. It means to be in a position of service to what is trying to happen. The well-known mystic phrase is that we should die before we die. It's profoundly about the nature of the self. It implies that the more we know the true nature of our being and of existence itself, the less we need to grasp our conditionality. And this is where the language overlaps, our conditions for protection and regard. It allows us to trust so that the smallness of ourself can expand in the face of the bigger being in which we partake. We never lose the unique particularities of who we are. We remain situated as individuals in creation. But we can open to the reality of the other the more we trust that we are secure. But what all of this meant to me is that the relational truths familiar to me from person-centered practice between human beings are also valid intrapersonally, that I am in relationship with existence itself. To extend our attention beyond the boundary of specific encounters to every moment of existence requires us to sustain and support our awareness. And that was what I found in the rhythms of the order at the Bishara School, through things like the meditation, the contemplation, the place to go back to get some nourishment, to take the next step in life with attention. There are so many people who are addressing these questions. However, the one I'm going to stick to today is one that has already been mentioned. Carol and Peggy and I did not do any kind of what are you saying, what will I say negotiation at all. We just turned up and saw each other in a delighted way yesterday when we all met. And so I'm going to draw on somebody who's already been mentioned today. I want to draw on the ideas of Ian McGilchrist, who wrote The Master and His Emissary. The fundamental point McGilchrist makes is about attention. He says repeatedly that the nature of the attention we pay affects the nature of the world we perceive. And we know this from the person-centered approach to relationships. It's the core of person-centered therapy. Paying attention is not a neutral act. In itself, it is an intervention in the intersubjective process of being. And therefore, it's also a responsibility. The kind of attention we pay actually alters the world. We are literally partners in creation. And this means we have a grave responsibility, a word that captures the reciprocal nature of the dialogue we have with whatever it is that exists apart from ourselves. This really touches me because it makes me think of Colin being touched right at the beginning of today about talking about when bad people get together and they do bad things and good people get together and can do good things. The attention is a choice, and what we do with it is a responsibility. My argument is that the mystic contemplative wing of religious tradition carries expertise in right hemisphere modes of attention as a recessive strand in our Western left hemisphere dominated culture. That's what I recognized in the Bishara School. The person-centered approach is also skilled in right hemisphere attending, but with a focus on attending to people. My experience at the school expanded my awareness of the relevance of such attending to include my relationship with existence itself. Living in the world is deeply relational. It is about care, respect, making space, listening, allowing what is, and noticing the flow of self from small to big and back to small again. This includes how we get on with one another, but it's also larger than that. So when I called the relevance of this for us today, what am I on about? When I called this talk, "We Start from Where We Are," I intended to convey that in facing the state of the world today, rather than feel dislocated, overwhelmed, anxious, or helpless, we as a person-centered community have skills to contribute. The world is starving for respectful, caring attention to be paid. And the person-centred way of being has practice in paying such attention. This is a deeply social and political act. It's responsible and moral. And the shape it takes will be unique for each one of us, because each of us starts from where we are.